actually don't know how to intro. Hi everybody, welcome to our channel. Am I really gonna say that? Yes. I can't believe it, but finally, we are back. The Modelme podcast is back. Now, if you've been around for a few years, you know that actually we did a podcast way back, 2018, 2019, we had this podcast, and I used to run things a bit mad. I mean, I'm still a bit mad, but I used to just I remember I was in Vegas once and I was at this conference and there was a photographer who lived in Vegas, his name is Asim. And I literally just had, I don't even remember, we had some sort of tiny mic. It was not like the mics you get nowadays. And I remember we were just in this conference. I took a break to go and interview him. And we were surrounded by stage equipment. It was absolutely hilarious, but I was so just on a mission to record interviews and get people together and really interview people that I knew could inspire the creative. So a very warm welcome. A welcome back if you know what Modelme is already. If you are new to the whole Modelme sphere of things, then such a big warm welcome. If I was in person with you, I would give you a big hug because that is the kind of person that I am. My name is Natasha Minter. I started this business, 2018, 5 and a bit years ago, and I started Modelme because I was so frustrated with seeing the lack of support for people. And I actually have a bit of a whole story, which I think probably we'll go into another day. We all have stories, right? And my story is that back in 2016, I came to London, I was a model, and I saw some really not so great things in the industry in the first 8 months of being a model. And I couldn't quite understand why no one was supporting anybody. It felt like there was a massive lack of communication and there was a massive lack of understanding and patience for people. And it got to the end of 2016 and I was like, I can't sit by and watch this happen anymore. I really need to help. So I had this incredible idea to basically do Modelme, so bring people together. By the way, it's raining in my room. Obviously I live in an attic room, so you're probably going to hear the rain. You'll also probably hear the birds across my roof at some point. That's just what they do. But yeah, so 2017, I had this idea and I was like, right, it was actually New Year's Eve, 2016. Had this idea and I was like, okay, I'm going to create a space, a safe space where people can come together, they can talk about their experiences and we can encourage each other, we can lift one another up. I really felt the industry was deprived of that. And then 4 days later, I flew to Milan. I was modeling at the time and I had the worst experience of my life. I basically began a journey of body dysmorphia, and my agency in Milan said some really awful things to me that sent me down a road of just really disliking who I was. I had locked my identity into my modeling career. And so what had happened is, because my identity was in my career and now someone was telling me that I'm not good enough and, to quote them, disgusting, I believed them. And that is such a dangerous place to be. I mean, I didn't know any better at the time. And long story short, we'll talk about it another day. I went on a journey for about 2.5 years having really awful body dysmorphia. And I did such really awful things to my body, to be honest, to the point where I still can't quite fathom what I put myself through. But I really thank God because my life began to change at the end of 2017. And I began a journey of healing. I began a journey of just getting better and realizing that actually I didn't need to be this person that they wanted me to be, that actually I was more than this person that they had imagined I would be. And, that modeling was not my identity, and actually my identity was way more than my career, way more. But I realized that we live in a world where we actually don't encourage people on that. And especially if I live in London, and especially in this country and in this city, we are quite obsessed with what we do. We love to ask that question, what do you work in? What do you do for work? That's more likely going to be the question that you sometimes ask before you ask for somebody's name. And that for me is really crazy because we've kind of lost the identity of even our name at points. And if you don't believe me, go to an event and go and watch people introduce themselves. Now, where do we begin with Model Me from that? So I really was just not in a good place. I had no self-confidence for quite a while. And at the end of 2017, it just got to a place where I thought, do you know what? The fear was holding me back so much of doing this business. And I had a dear friend at the time who just turned around to me and said, look, what are you scared of? And it really gave me a bit of a kick up the butt, to be honest. And I thought, oh my gosh, I think I'm scared of being rejected from the industry. And I thought, do you know what? Like, I already have imposter syndrome. Like, every time I walked into a room as a model, I already had imposter syndrome. So we began Model Me, March 2018, and now Model Me exists to be a well-being platform that helps you correct negative thought patterns and behavior. Model Me has nothing to do with being a model. It has everything to do with helping you model your true, authentic self. Now, in the world that we live in today, I really believe more than ever, we need to have people, brands, companies, we need messaging out there that can actually inspire us and empower us and make us think, wow, I have permission to be me. And I think that the culture we live in is very hypocritical, you know, and it scares me a little bit. So when we recently made our brand new website, which I absolutely love, if you've not checked it out, it's modelmemission.com. I am so proud of this website. I had someone called Ryan who lives in Uganda build this website for me. He is remarkable. If you would like to be put in touch with him, I got you, don't worry. So I've been we wrote 5 affirmations for Model Me to really help people understand this is what we're about. So I thought I would start this podcast by sharing with you exactly what those 5 affirmations are. One is, you need to know who you are. You need to know who you are, because if you don't know who you are, how do you know what's possible for your life? Number 1. Number 2 is, you are not supposed to do this life alone. I know that the world loves to tell you that you can be an independent honey and you don't need no man and you don't need anybody to help you make your dreams come true. You can do everything by yourself. Who is so sick of hearing that narrative? I am so sick of hearing that narrative. And I am all about women feeling empowered. I'm all about us feeling like, you know, I can do this. Like, me doing this podcast alone is a push, right? I know you're probably thinking, yeah, but Natasha, like, you love doing events. I do. You love speaking. I do. But I also love listening. And I also don't want to step out of what God has got for me. And so I don't just want to do something just because I should. I want to do something because that's where God calls me and that's where he puts me, right? So when we talk about you are not supposed to do this life alone, what I'm trying to tell you is you need community, you need mentorship, you need somebody next to you that's helping you through those good and those bad times. And I think that it's quite scary that we live in a world now where there is a lot of messaging that's telling us you don't need anybody. I'm here to tell you that you do, and it's okay to need other people. Number 3 is, you can learn how to communicate effectively. I think it's so important that we understand that when people kind of offend us and we pick up that offense, we've got to learn how to have those hard conversations and not just like block it off, ghost somebody, cancel them, but actually be able to confront them and say, hey, this is how it made me feel. And this is the story I'm telling myself. That's a Brené Brown thing. This is the story I'm telling myself. Like, what did you really mean by that? And actually, something my dear friend Cara says, who's worked with us a lot on Model Me, she always says that more relationships are ruined by conversations that don't happen than conversations that do happen. More people lose friendships, lose relationships, lose members of their family because they aren't willing to have a hard conversation. Now, a hard conversation is hard. It's in the word, it's hard and it's vulnerable. But at Model Me, we really believe that we can teach you how to have hard conversations so that you can really have deeper, more profound, more meaningful relationships in your life. Number 4 is, you are on a journey. And I think that I'm preaching to myself here, sister, so do not worry, okay? I think it's really easy sometimes to kind of just think, oh, I want it now. I want everything to happen now. Like, I have had to really learn patience. Patience is not something I was born with. I don't know if any of us are born with patience, to be honest. And I've really had to learn what it means to like wait, to wait. But I really want to let you know it is how you wait. How do you embrace the journey of things that are happening in your life? And I think we've got to encourage people that it is a journey, and it is the journey on the way that makes it really worth it when you get to that goal, whatever that goal might be. And number 5 is you need to know how to manage your emotions. You need to know that actually you are not your emotions and that you have emotions and that you can decide, actually, I'm not going to act out in my emotions right now. Ooh, that is so hard. That is so hard. And it is a journey I am still on myself. So I can relate. All of these, I can relate to them, okay? And that's why they are our affirmations at Model Me. Because I really believe that people need this equipping. You need to be equipped. You need to be empowered. You need to know who you are. You need to know how to manage your emotions. You need to know how to communicate effectively. If you yourself are well, your career will be well. Your business will be well. Your relationships will be well. Your job will be well. Everything about your life will be well if you first are well. And I don't necessarily mean that nothing bad is ever going to happen in your life, but you will be able to handle it with peace. And there is a peace that surpasses all understanding. And trust me when I say that peace is available to you. And I know the world likes you to think that it's not, but I am telling you that peace is available to you. So as we begin this podcast journey together, I honestly am so excited I'm excited for what's going to happen. I'm excited and I'm really expectant that God is going to move. And you will hear me talk about my faith a lot. My faith is a big part of who I am. I would not be who I am today if Jesus hadn't saved me. That is the truth. But when I share my faith with you, I don't do it from a place of like I'm forcing it on you. I'm just doing it because I'm sharing my journey and I want to share the testimony of what God has done in my life because I really believe that it can help you as well. I really believe that God is available for everybody. It is not a if you've done this, and that's religion. So sometimes people talk to me like, oh, Natasha, you're religious. I go, I'm not religious, actually. I have faith and I have a relationship with my Father. So when we think about Model Me, one of the things that I really am so honestly, can't tell you how blessed I am to do regular monthly events. And if you live in London, I hope you get to come to one if you've not been to one already. And actually, I'm so excited because we're going to go up north and I'm from up north. I didn't really introduce myself, but this isn't really about me. This is about you. This is about helping you be the best version of you. And I just want to share and empower and equip you with what you need to really prosper in this life. And I am from the north of England, so every now and then, especially if I talk about football, you will hear a slight twang. I'm from Cheshire. I absolutely, I love where I'm from. I feel very blessed to have grown up where I did. And Mum, if you watch this, then know I'm very grateful because I don't know if I'd tell my mum that very often. But all my family live up north. I am the only one that left the village, literally. So I love going back up north. I try and go back once a month because it's really such a good way to reset. Like I love living in London, but wow, London. And I think that it's really important to reset and to really honor rest and make rest a part of your rhythm, your schedule, your weekly routine. I love having a day off once a week. And I think that sometimes, I don't even know if a lot of people do that. It feels like so counterculture sometimes to like take a day off and not go on social media for the day and not have any phone calls or make any plans with people. And I find that really crazy because I don't know who I would be without that day of rest. But culture that we live in today, and you'll hear me talk about culture a lot because I think that I'm very grateful that my eyes have been opened up more and more. Like they're still being opened up to like where we live, what's really going on. And I'm witnessing it, I'm part of it and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, this is mad. Like, this is actually mad. Some of the things that, some of the narratives, some of the agendas that are being played out and the way that society and culture and brands are like jumping on board as if it's like a good thing, like it's scary. So I just want to encourage you, like this whole podcast, this act of me doing this is actually to inspire you to not let anything silence you. And I had this really strong vision recently about the Muzzle. Oh, guys, it just literally, it impacts me so much when I talk about this. I had this vision of, I watched this really incredible documentary, which we will talk about more. We will talk about it more. But I had this vision of people that need to speak being muzzled. And I was like, why is that word in my head? Have I heard somebody say that? And I really sat with it for a couple of weeks and I just was like, kept coming back to me. And then last weekend, I got some like visions of what that really looks like. And I was like, whoa. And I feel the weight of this word. And I really feel like, do you know what? People need to know, like, you've got to speak. You've got to use your voice. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let anything muzzle you. And I think when you look at the world, even last night we did an event and I had this vision as we were delivering the event. It was quite crazy. The vision I had was this, I'll share it with you. So there is a scripture that says, they will be like wolves in sheep's clothing. Now, if you think about what a wolf really is, and you think about a sheep, okay? Yesterday I had this vision. We're doing the event and I looked to the left of me and I'm describing it, and I realized later on at night that actually God was giving me a vision. And what I saw was actually that like I was on the side of this hill, and at the top of the hill I could see this wolf. But then what I could see is the audience in front of the wolf just saw it as a sheep because of their perspective. And I was at the side of it seeing it as a wolf, and I thought, oh my gosh, now I feel so responsible with this platform, with this podcast, with every single event that we do, with every person that comes to a Modelme event. I feel so responsible for the people that come in that room. And I think, wow, last night I saw this vision and I thought, I have got a responsibility here to make sure that these people can see that actually that's a wolf. That is a wolf in sheep's clothing. And this is why it's so important that if you've got a voice, if you've got the truth written, if you've got the truth inside of you written on your tongue, let it speak. Do not let yourself be muzzled. When there is so many things, so many dark forces, to be honest with you, at play, we have got to be people that can speak encouragement, speak light to people. And so yesterday we did this absolutely incredible event. If you've never been to a fitness event at Modelme, oh my gosh, I love our fitness events. They are so fun. We do a first part of the workshop is a workout. So last night was bar. We did it with Alicia Morgan, who is a fantastic Pilates and bar instructor. She's also a dancer. I will put her link in our bio. And the other half of the session is a workshop. Sometimes it's more of a discussion, sometimes it's more of a talk, sometimes it's more of a workshop. I like to keep it open because I really like to feed what the room needs at that time. I think that one of the things that we've ran this business, I say we, it's normally just me, myself and I, but I have some really incredible people that help me do some really amazing things. I've got an incredible talented photographer, videographers, people that work with us regularly. I've got someone that works for us who lives in Amsterdam now, and my business partner is one of my closest friends, and I absolutely love sitting with her and sharing my ideas and, you know, what I think we should do next and hearing her counsel. And I think I want to share with you that it's so important to have wisdom, have counsel in your life, because there is wisdom in the counsel of many. And you know, it's as much as I'm saying, I'm going to go back to that point I said earlier, you are not supposed to do this life alone. You are supposed to have people around you that can come alongside you. But also a side note on that is that not everybody is supposed to be on the journey with you. Some people will only be on the journey with you for a certain season. And I think it's okay for that to be that way, you know? Like I've had many people come and go working with me and Modelme, and then I've had people leave and come back and leave and come back. And I think, you know, there's seasons for this, and it's just really important that you watch who you hang around. I talk about this all the time, and it would be so fitting that we say this in the first ever podcast. You know what? Let me just pause. I love a chat, guys. And honestly, I was a bit nervous coming on here. I know. Me, nervous. You're like, you're crazy. I'm not crazy, but do you like my mug, by the way? I don't know if you can see it. So, pause. I'm drinking Earl Grey. I was going to have coffee, but I thought, you know what? My boyfriend's really got me into Earl Grey tea. So, I'm ready to continue. So, when I talk about checking your circle, I'm talking about checking the people that you've got around you. Checking who you listen to. I'm also talking about the Instagram accounts that you follow, the people that you listen to, the people's podcasts that you listen to, the YouTube channels that you watch, the TV shows that you watch, the music. Did I say that one already? The music that you listen to. It is so important that, for me, when you check your circle, you, yes, check the people around you, but you also check the content that you consume. Your eye gate and your ear gate, I heard this once from Joseph Prince, absolutely love it. Your ear gate and your eye gate, they affect things that come into your soul. So you have got to watch what comes into your eyes and what comes into your ears. And if you are not careful, things will come into your ears and it will plant a seed of doubt. It will plant a seed of unforgiveness. It will plant a seed of offense. And you have got to watch what you let into your ears, what you let into your eyes, because it affects you. And if you don't believe me, cut out music for a bit and watch how it makes a difference. Cut out the reality TV show that you watch. It will make a difference. And so, look, I ain't got nothing wrong with you watching the odd reality TV show, okay? I love keeping up with it's not even called that anymore, is it? The Kardashian show, whatever. I've had to have a real chat with myself lately because we're going to talk about this another time. There's so much we're going to talk about. I recently realised a bit more about the root of where my body image and self-image had come from like that negative place of perhaps where it had come from. And I'm not ready to talk about that yet, which is why we're not going to talk about it now. But I did ask God the question. I said, God, please let me know if I should stop watching that TV show. And that isn't because I don't want to watch it, you know, and from a business point of view, from an entrepreneurial point of view, I'm incredibly inspired by what they've built. Like, I mean, wow, right? But nothing is worth your peace. Nothing is worth your peace. And so if it meant stopping watching a TV show or stopping to follow a certain person, there's a lot of music I don't listen to anymore. Like, I used to listen to some great like R&B, but it's not good for me. So I don't listen to it anymore. And that's not me telling you you shouldn't listen to it. It's a personal conviction, right? And I think that's the one thing I really I love about God, is that it's a personal relationship with him. He's going to share with you what you should and shouldn't watch. And all of it is because he actually loves you and he wants to protect you. So yesterday we did this really amazing event on building your confidence. Sorry, I went on a bit of a sidetrack. If you've met me, you know I do that. And we do this thing now at Modelme where we do worksheets with every event that we do. So you'll come to a Modelme event and we will give you a worksheet and it will follow the workshop that we're going through together. So I thought that I would share some of the questions and really just finish this podcast off by starting/finishing. I knew that half of this was going to be an intro. So welcome to my long stories. Also, what just happened with my fist? It became a total microphone. So obviously I'm filming this in July, okay? And I want to ask you, are you where you thought you would be 6 months into 2023? So one thing that I think we love to do in this world is, you know, January comes and we set our vision, we do our vision boards, we set our goals, New Year's resolutions, the whole shebang, okay? And then it gets to December and maybe we don't even reflect sometimes till January. And then you reflect on 12 months. Oh, that's a lot. Guys, sometimes a lot happens for me in a day. I'm sure it does for you too. So I feel like we should probably reflect more often. And one of the things that we did last year, we did an event called Is It Time to Pivot? And that was in July. And it was so powerful. It was a really beautiful opportunity to give people a chance to sit with their thoughts and reflect and say, wow, is it time to pivot? Am I still on the same path that I set out to be at the beginning of the year? Or am I completely somewhere else? And there's a couple of things I want to say to you that I shared last night, which is, you know, if it is time to pivot, it's about this idea of like, do you need to change direction to the current path that you're on? Is it that actually you need to reflect and go, hold on, I'm not where I thought I would be. And I actually need to get myself back onto this path in order to achieve the goals that I set for 2023. Or the question could be, have I drifted slightly? Am I just slightly off a little bit? Maybe there's a few little tweaks I need to make in my life. Do you know what you need in order to get back on track? Do you know who you need in order to get back on track? Remember, you cannot do this life alone. And then the other question is, do the goals need to change because I have changed, because life has changed, or because things have changed? If I think about last year, 2022 was absolutely monumental year for me. I mean, guys, when I think about last year, I got into a relationship, yes, which you will not see me talk about much because unless God prompts me to, it is something I keep private. But also I started a job as a project manager. And then I actually ended that job as a project manager and started a different job. And at the end of the year, I got the event manager job to put on a conference in May this year, which was just crazy. And then alongside that, I'm not even sharing the immense stuff. Last year was our first year back in-person events for Model Me. We did 18 events. And honestly, I had spent nearly 2 years telling myself through COVID that we would never do in real life events again. And the truth is, it was because I was so disappointed. I was so sad that we couldn't do what we did when COVID came. And so the reason why I share that story with you and why I share like 2022 was so monumental is because it's so important to get to that mid-year and say, okay, am I where I thought I would be? And if I'm not, what do I need to do to change things? And maybe stuff does look different, and actually that's okay. But if you need to mourn the change and grieve kind of maybe the things that didn't happen that you thought would, maybe relationships broke down, maybe your job changed, maybe you moved cities, countries, moved house, right? Maybe you had a baby, maybe you're pregnant. Like, there are so many things that can really change our goals that I think sometimes in January, you know, the phrase, you know, you make plans and God laughs really makes me laugh sometimes, because I just think, oh, wow. But I do believe God gives us vision. So one of the questions we asked last night on this worksheet was, how has your confidence improved this year? And Alicia shared some beautiful things that I will share more on our social, because it just wouldn't be right to regurgitate what she said. And I feel so grateful that I get to sit next to someone like Alicia, who honestly just really impacted me with the way that she shared. She's so authentic, she is so genuine, and she's just such an encouraging person to be sat next to when you're delivering a workshop. And I really feel that because Alicia turned up in the way that she did, it allowed vulnerability in the room to open up. And we had some incredible stories shared last night. And if you came last night's event, I have to say thank you. Because honestly, Model Me is nothing without you. And I know that sounds a bit ironic sometimes because it's Model Me, but it's not Model Me, it's Model You. It's you modeling the best version of you. And how can we help you do that? Another question that we asked was, can you pinpoint some things that have directly impacted your confidence this year, that have directly helped you grow this year? And then also, what areas would you like your confidence to improve going forward? So obviously we're talking mid-year check-in, right? So mid-year check-in, January to June has happened. We're in July, maybe we're in August when you're watching this, and we've got to think ahead, right, to December. And actually, do you know what? I'm kind of planning, especially from a business point of view, I'm planning September to February, and that's kind of the 6th month that I'm going to work on. I definitely still will reflect when December comes, and I think I try to reflect as often as I can. To be honest, after every event, I'm reflecting because I really want us to grow, get better, keep on serving our community and feeding the people in the room, feeding the people that watch this video. And I just really pray for every single one of you watching this that Model Me really helps you know who you are. And the other question that I have on this worksheet, which is quite a hard question, but this is something we're really going to unpack on our event at the end of this month, which the question is, do you know what holds you back? And that is a really hard question. You know, to actually sit and ask yourself, do I know what's holding me back? Do I know what's stopping me from doing the thing that I really want to do? Is it fear? Is it confidence? Is it that I need to have a hard conversation? Is it that I need to input a boundary in a certain area because I feel like I'm constantly being just hurt because a boundary's being crossed, right? And I'm very careful to use those words because, I think we really throw them around like, they're big words, guys. They're big words. They're big things. Like, I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have people help me put boundaries in place in my life. But it is not something I throw around flippantly. Like, boundaries really, really helped. In fact, I would say there were a couple of things that really shaped and changed my life. And one of them is boundaries in regards to accountability. And so it's not just standalone boundaries, it's boundaries and accountability. And I'm very grateful to have mentors around me that help me walk that journey. And that's where I really have this idea of like, you cannot do this life alone. There's no way I would be who I am without people coming alongside me and helping me grow into the person that they could see. I couldn't see who I was going to be. I mean, I probably still can't see who I'm going to be in X amount of time, but I'm so thankful that God has put people around me that can see what's in me. And when I'm feeling low and I'm not feeling very confident, they pick it up on me and they encourage me. The word encourage, it says courage. Courage in the middle. You put courage inside of somebody. I heard that the other day and I was like, wow. And then you think about discourage. Discourage. You are discouraging someone. You are taking courage out of that person. Whew, that is such a word, right? So when you're thinking about encouraging, you're putting courage in someone. Let yourself be surrounded by people that can encourage you, and watch who you've got around you that discourages you. Because discourage, disappointment, they really do, they sadden you and they really can be heavy on your heart. And that's just, yeah, it's a hard place to be. Another question we have on this worksheet is, in what areas do you need help with? In what areas do you need help with? And so I want you to think about the next 6 months. Do you need to reset goals? Do you need to spend time reflecting and reminding yourself of what the goals were for this year? And maybe asking yourself, actually, that's not what I want anymore. I'm going to change. I didn't think that I would be here right now, but I'm actually going to pivot. I'm going to make a different decision. I'm going to change who I am. You have got the power to change who you are. You have got the control and the authority to have an opportunity. Take the opportunity, guys. Take the opportunity. You don't need to carry on the road that you're on if you're not happy with where you're going. So I'm going to finish this podcast by sharing with you really about my word of the year, which is so fitting actually, because it's actually my mug. It's my mug. And it feels right to share this with you because we're talking about mid-year check-in, right? We're talking about the things that you set at the beginning of the year. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is exactly how this podcast should finish. So last year, the word of the year for me was seeking. And there's a beautiful scripture in the Bible that says, ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened. For anyone who asks receives, for anyone who seeks finds, and for anyone who knocks, the door will be opened. I think I've just repeated it. Ask, what does it say? Guys, I got it wrong. I merged verse 7 and 8 together. Anyway, basically what I'm saying is, this beautiful scripture, it talks about when you ask, it will be given. When you seek, you will find. When you knock, it will be open to you. There are promises written in scripture to really encourage you. Like, what's not more encouraging than that? Like, okay, I can ask the question, I can seek, I can find God's face, and I will find it. I can knock and that door will open for me, and trust that actually the opportunity is waiting for you. But you have got to take that step. You've got to take that action. You can't just sit and wait for things to come to you. If you want to change, you have got to make the change. If you want to do something different, you want your schedule to change. God gave me a word back in March when I was working 2 different jobs and running Modelme, and I was at the point where I was nearly burning out. We talk a lot about burnout at Modelme, and I think I was having this amazing conversation with my boyfriend, and as I was talking, it came to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I have full authority to be able to change my calendar. I need to have a couple conversations with people. I have full authority to change my calendar, to change my schedule. And I did. Had a couple conversations. Thank God they went exactly as I needed them to. And that was it. Changed my schedule. And I didn't burn out. And I promise you, that first week of my schedule changed. The second day, I felt different. I thought, wow. Okay, this is a lot easier on my soul. It's a lot easier on my mental health. I feel more at peace. And I think that we have got to sometimes start unraveling, and I call it programming a lot, but recently it's coming to me in this word unravel. But you've got to reprogram yourself a little bit. And that is hard. That is not an easy thing to do. But you've got to sometimes check and look at the behavior that you've got. Look at the things that you say. Look at the way that you behave. Look at the way that you act. And say, do you know what? I actually don't like that about myself. I am going to change that about myself. And that takes work, okay? I think the world that we live in is so consumerist, and it's so like, you can have anything right here, right now, woo! And it's like, sure, fine, that works when you're ordering a Deliveroo, but when you're talking about getting a new person inside of you, like, the truth is, when you get to know God, He can change you in a heartbeat, but you have got to be willing to say, do you know what, God, I got to change. I need to change. I'm not happy with where I am anymore. I need to change this behavior about myself. And I think sometimes God shows us certain things about ourselves that we need to change. We have authority. We have control over what we say, over what we speak. Like, I try not to swear anymore, and it's still something that sometimes I struggle with, but I try not to swear because I realize who that person was before, and I don't want to be that person anymore. I was not happy. I was not at peace. I was not content with my life. And so I have had to make conscious decisions to change who I am. And that is what Modelme is all about. I'm giving you, hopefully, an opportunity for you to understand that actually I can change. I don't have to be the way that I am right now. If I am not happy with where I am, you have got full authority to change. And so I want to ask you, have you been knocking? Have you been knocking at the door of opportunity? There is a door of opportunity right in front of you that is saying to you, do you know what? Like, you can do this. You can walk forward into whatever God has called you to walk into, but you have got to take that step. You've got to walk forward, you've got to step into it, and you've really got to trust and just take the leap. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You know? One day I'll talk about the fear that was trying to be knocked into me, the whole thing about being muzzled and to not do this podcast. And you know what? I've had to just say to myself, like, you're just going to do it. You are just going to do it. And I trust God, and I thank him for who I am, for the way that hopefully this is going to help people, and for the opportunity. You know, we live in a world now where there is opportunity, and I have an opportunity to impact people in a positive way. And when I look at the way that people are feeding such darkness into people's lives, and I know that for a fact, like, I can encourage somebody, then what? I've got to do that, right? So I pray that this has blessed you in some shape, way, or form. And I thank you so much for taking your time to listen to this in podcast with us today. We have got some really exciting things coming up, and I'm nervous, I'm excited, and it's okay to have both of those things. And you know what? I am not my feelings. I'm not my feelings, guys. I am not my feelings. That is one of the most freeing things I have learned recently. And so, wow, I'm not my feelings. So I can be nervous, I can be excited, but guess what? I'm gonna do it anyway. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and of course, we're on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Oh, and I would love, if there's anything that you need help with, if there's anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, it's not just going to be me on this podcast. I've got so many incredible people that I want to bring on this podcast that we're going to do specialty topics on. What is it that you want to hear about? Is it boundaries? Is it burnout? Is it confidence? Is it how do I take the opportunity? Is it how do I get deeper, more meaningful, better friendships, relationships in my life? How do I navigate being single in this world? Whatever it is, whatever you need help with, support, we want to help you be the most true, authentic version of yourself. And that is our commitment, and that is our mission. Okay? Thank you so much. See you very soon.